Welcome back everyone. What we're going to do today is a quick and easy ignition coil, spark plug, and spark plug wire change on this Fiesta. So I got some quality Motorcraft parts in, spark plug wires. Enough talk, let's get with it. Just a few quick things before we get started. You want to know which cylinder is what. These old spark plug wires are actually numbered, but you can go online and see which cylinder is number 1. In this one, it's the front of the engine's this way. Front wheel drive car. Cylinder 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you can look at your ignition coil and see the way that it's numbered. If your car is running good, then you don't have to worry about it. Number 1 goes here. Number 2 comes around to here. Number 3 wires there. Number 4 is the closest wires there. Then you want to look at your new one, numbered 1, 3, 2, 4. I checked it out. It's already good to go. Get new Motorcraft wires already laid out the way you need them. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull all the wires off. One of the best ways you can do it is twist back and forth and pull up. You don't have to take them off necessarily. You can just pull them out of the spark plugs, take this whole thing off, and these bolts, but there's one bolt back here that's kind of difficult to get to, so I go ahead and pull them all off like this. So twist to kind of break the seal, pull up, twist, pull up, twist, and pull up. Same with the spark plug end. Gotta love the simplicity of 4-cylinder engines. Oh, and yes, some of them will be tough. They got a special tool for this, but I'm not all about spending extra money if I don't need to on certain tools. And all those come out together. Lay them off to the side. Get you a Torx bit for the 4 bolts on the ignition coil. And I take the bolts out so I can get to this connector easier, because of course the release for this connector is on the bottom. They don't give you a whole lot. There we go. Don't give you a whole lot to work with. Here's your old one, your new one. Plug it in, hear a good click, and put your bolts in. Now, one thing I was worried about is, you look at the body of the old one, right here it's a lot thicker than the new one. I wonder if those long bolts were going to work, and they do. Actually tighten down enough to be able to mount the new coil. So we're going to get a torque wrench, torque to 53 inch-pounds. Installation of the coil is complete. And one thing you want to do on these spark plugs is you always want to check gap, even if you put new ones in. This car is supposed to be 27 thousandths to 32 thousandths gap. We're going to do the 35 thousandths. And it goes right in. We'll go up to 40. 40 goes in. 44. 44 just scrubs a little bit. And that's what you want to do, is you want it to just scrub, and you know that's what the size is. So these things are gapped way too much. I've already taken these spark plugs out, but you want to make sure you have a good spark plug or spark plug socket. This down in there, you got a piece of rubber inside that holds the spark plug, and you see it holds this one pretty good. Main reason is the head is so deep in this thing, spark plugs go so far down inside that if you drop it in there, it's a pain to get out. That way you can mess around screw the new one in, unscrew the old one out. You want an extension that comes about this high. That we have plenty of room to get the spark plug in and out. There's a couple different gapping tools you can use. You got the one that's round just like this, but it's like a ramp that comes all the way up. It's got a piece of metal that is skinny on one end and it gradually gets thicker as you come around. I don't like using those because if you put a spark plug on it and you twist that ramp around like this until it stops to the point, you could actually gap your plugs. You could open it up a little bit too much, or you could damage something. I like these better. Just a little piece of wire. You don't force anything. You just try to put it in just like that. Way better way to check it. So now to go along with our new ignition coil and our new wires, I'm going to see if I can replace these Autolite plugs with some good Motorcraft Iridium spark plugs that are gapped correctly. Now I'll show you how to gap spark plugs on these old plugs that I'm not going to use anymore. So we checked them, which I already messed with this one, so it's going to be a huge gap. You can see it's got too much of a gap. I'm all the way to 55, way too big. You don't ever want to gap or adjust the gap in here and mess up these precious metals. That's what this is for. So you grab this, so the gap is too big, put that on there. That allows you to be able to bend. Want a closer gap, so we bend that direction, then we check it again. And that's about right. Now most new spark plugs are going to be gapped correctly. But if you buy some budget plugs and you don't have the money, you know, because these Iridium plugs, Motorcraft for this car, they're $10 a piece, pre-gapped. So if you just want to get by on some really cheap plugs because you don't have any money, you can buy some cheap plugs. They don't have to be Iridium. It's just the non-Iridium plugs won't last as long. But you can do that and you can gap it yourself and get you by for a little while. First thing, check the gap. Should be 27 to 30, or 27 to 32. So the 25 goes in there, but it does pretty tight, and then the 30 does not go in there, so we know our gap is good. We'll put them in. Make sure you have a short extension so it goes in, it does not hit this, because you don't want to bind on the spark plug. Newer spark plugs, you don't need anti-seize on the threads. Make sure your spark plug fits tight inside the socket. Set it in here, be real careful with it. Screw it in. Screw it in by hand at least a couple turns to make sure it's threaded properly so you don't cross thread it. Feels like it's threaded most of the way down. Set your torque wrench to 133 inch-pounds, and it's torqued. And the spark plug is installed. Now let's install our new wires. If you remember, this is cylinder 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then they're also labeled on here. They're numbered from the factory. And then we even have numbers on the cables. So number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. And these are already labeled or laid out for you. Real easy to put in place if you use Motorcraft ones. But what you always want to do is double check. Make sure, yep, number 2. Clicked. And our last one should be number 4. And it even says number 4, and that's our shortest wire. Number 4. Now to connect our spark plug in, best to start with number 4 because all these other wires are in your way. You could even pull these back out if you wanted to, like so. There we go. Now these have dielectric grease already on them on the inside. I didn't mention that because I knew it already had it. But you want to put dielectric grease on the inside. That helps the boot, keeps it from sticking after miles and miles of service. Put all the wires back down into their holders. Make sure that's on correctly. And as simple as that. Looks good. I've enjoyed making another video to help you out, showing you how to change spark plugs, what to look for, make sure not to damage them, spark plug wires, new ignition coil. It's not that big of a job. So next time, keep your money in your pocket by doing it yourself. Y'all have a great day.